Good morning, everyone. Any questions from the last class? How is the project going? Right. Any questions from you? So please feel free to ask me if you have any questions when you are running or doing the data analysis. Any part of the process, if you have any questions, please ask me. But I still didn't receive the data set from all the groups, which is like really painful for me. Because we already passed the due date. I reminded. So please make sure every group, please, you start working on the project, because at the end, you'll not get time. Because you have some exams, you have some homework due date, and I cannot extend the due date for the project, This is the last day. After that, whatever you did, you have to submit. Now, I gave you one survey. I didn't receive much feedback from you, like how is the course going, but still I did receive two feedbacks. One is I got that the method 2 and the method 3. That some of you said that, okay, it is confusing which one we have to use. I think that we can go back to this part one more time to discuss about the method 2 and the method 3 that we learned in chapter. Do you remember which chapter we learned this on? In chapter 9, I think, the ANOVA. And the factorial ANOVA and the ANOVA, this one. I started with the chapter 8. Okay. I think here I mentioned about these three methods. These are the three methods that I discussed, method 1, we call it that we just get the output that comes automatically by fitting the models. Okay, we don't do any contrast coding in method 1. Method 2, we do the specification of the contrast. Method 3 also we do the specification of the contrast. Now the method 1, I said that we don't do anything. So here you can see in the method 1, we just use the categorical predictors from our data set, like in the SELI data. So method 2, we use the LS mean contrast. You know the LS mean contrast one? That we choose our own contrast. Okay? And the method 3, we use the contrast that is the contrast coded variables. Here we use this one. So these are the three different methods that we have to know. Only difference comes in the parameter estimates, but the F ratio is same for all these three methods. So that's you have to keep in mind. Whenever you are doing the overall model, there is no changing in the F ratios. But parameter estimate, depending on what is your choice, it depends on this. One is the Helmholtz contrast, and one we call it the LS mean contrast. That means we choose our own orthogonal contrast. That's what you have to keep in mind in these three methods. So what is the advantage of using Helmholtz contrast? I told you that Helmholtz contrast is easy to create the contrast because you follow a specific format and rules to create the contrast. Now, if you are creating your own orthogonal contrast, that means you have to satisfy these two conditions, that the sum of the coefficient is 0 and sum of the product of the coefficient is 0. That's the only thing that you have to keep in mind. But the advantage is that you can compare any group differences. in the contrast code. And this is what we have seen in chapter 9. So this is our Helmholtz contrast that we created based on the Helmholtz contrast rules. Now, we choose our own orthogonal contrast here. And there was one homework in your homework 3 that how to create, that's the second part of the questions, okay? You have to create your own orthogonal contrast. Now, what's the advantage of using this one? Here you can compare any groups based on your choice. So that's why I told you, okay, compare this group with this group, compare this group with this group, compare this group with this group. In that case, you cannot use the Helmholtz contrast. You have to choose your own orthogonal contrast. That's the only difference in these three. If you are just comparing the overall model, all the three methods are same. F value is same. When it comes to the individual comparison between different groups, then you have to use this contrast code. But the Helmholtz contrast only disadvantage is that you cannot choose your own orthogonal contrast. That means you cannot compare all the groups. But this contrast, if you choose your own orthogonal contrast, that means you can compare different groups. And you have seen we did some examples in our class as well as you did something in the homework. So you can create your own orthogonal contrast to compare the different groups. Any questions about this part? Okay, so if you don't have, let's go back to our class questions from ANCOVA. I think we have already here. So we finished ANCOVA in the last class, if you remember. What is ANCOVA, if I ask you?
Fitting the model with a continuous variable alongside a
categorical predictors. Okay, so now continuous variables we don't consider it as a predictor, we just consider it's a covariate. We adjust the effects of this one, but our target is to know the effects of the categorical predictors on the response variables after adjusting or controlling the effects of the covariate. And the covariate we considered as a continuous variables. Now, in these examples, we call it the productivity improvement data set. If you go back to the ELC, you can see this data set is in ELC I uploaded, which is called the productivity improvement data. So in this data, we have productivity improvements from the last year. Now we have R and D level. Okay, we have different levels. So you can see that this is a categorical variables, R and D level. Now we have another variable. This is the grouping. We don't care about, this is just the group. Now another variables we denote it by Z or Z, the prior year's productivity improvement. Now in ANCOVA, we consider this as a covariate. Now, first of all, we need to know whether this covariate is related to our response variable. What is our response variable? Last year productivity improvement. Whether this has a relationship with the prior year's productivity improvement. So this is what we first look at this, and we did this part in our one of the classes. So the test for a change across the different levels, this is what we did, the ANOVA. And then we also looked at the relationship between last year productivity improvement and the prior year's productivity improvement. That means we would like to know whether the covariate has a relationship with the response variable. Now we did the ANOVA first. ANOVA means we just fit the models with the R&D levels. R&D levels means our categorical predictors. Now if we change the levels, whether there is changing in the means. So this is what we have seen here in these examples, and then we did this one. We fit the models, we can see yes, there is a significant relationship between these two. Now keep in mind, that's the only difference here. When you have the ANCOVA, your compact model is no longer simple models. It's always in the ANCOVA we would like to know the effects of our categorical predictors over and above the covariate. So we put the covariate in our simple models, or we call it compact models. So our compact model is now beta 0 plus beta 1 Zi, where Z is covariate. Now, we would like to know the effects of the categorical predictor over and above this Zi. Okay? So we just add our categorical predictors, and it depends on how many labels do we have. So if you go back to this data set, you can see we have 1, 2, and 3 labels. So we know that if we have 3 labels, we can create 3 minus 1, that means 2 contrast coded predictors. Thank you, Jack. Now we created 2 contrast coded predictors we have to create, but here if you want to just write the models, it will be like this. So why is the last year productivity improvement? X1 and X2 and X3 are the contrast coded predictors, variables for R&D development, and Z is the prior year productivity improvement. So here you can see this is an ANCOVA model. We have our categorical predictors and we have our covariate. Now I ask you in the part 4 that test the model comparison you identified in 3 and what do you conclude. So how can we do this part? So we need to fit the models. So let's go back, fit the models. So our response variable is the last year productivity improvement. So we take this into the Y column box. Now R&D labels is our categorical predictors, and then we are adding our covariates. Okay. So this is called ANCOVA. Now run this on. Now you can see that we have here 3 slopes. Can you see there are 3 slopes, one for each level of R&D. So each line represents the scatter plot for each level of R&D, for level 1, level 2, and the level 3. And there you can see that they are parallel to each other. Okay, now let's go back to our ANCOVA. Now first of all, you can see if you look at the ANOVA table, we can see this is significant. What about R square here? 96%. Now if we go back to our ANOVA model, when we just did the ANOVA, because we know that when we did the ANOVA, this was our ANOVA, okay, without including the covariate in the model. We can see our R square is 56%. Now when we fit the ANCOVA, that means adjusting the effects of the covariate, you go back and see what is our R square now? 96%, which is much higher. Look at the error sum of square, 1.317535. Now if we go back here, error sum of square for the ANOVA was 15 points. So we can see that we reduce the error a lot. So we adjust the powers. So we have higher power of detecting the difference. So we can see the overall model comparisons now. If you just copy this part here, so you know how to copy this, the jump output. Always go and select the copy. And then maybe you can put it in another Word files here, and then yeah. Now we don't need everything. So which part we just need this one? So you don't need this one, you can just remove this. So we just need this one. So copy this output from here and paste it here. Now you can make it red if you want. Now you can see that our R square is much higher, our error sum squares is lower. Productivity improvement here for the prior years is significant. Here you can see the cover rate is significant, R&D levels is significant. Yes, let me check what's the question. What is the p-value of the level 2 in the parameter estimates in a diff color? What is diff color? Different. Why is it different one? I don't see that. Here I can see the p-value is this too.
Sir, in the jump output, if you go in the jump output, it shows a different color in the R&D too, if you can see. It's red and that's
I mean,
pink.
you mean this color and this one?
Yeah,
Sorry?
yeah, that's what
okay.
I was asking.
So let me tell you why the jump give you the color coded p-value. First of all, if the p-value is small, jump always put the color code. Now if it is highly significant, they just differentiate these two, nothing else. So here you can see it's very small. It's less than 0.0001. This one is small but is not very small. So they just differentiate that, okay, this is highly significant, this is also significant, but not very small. That's not just the jump gives you the color coded. So that's the good indication that always in the jump, if the p-value is small, it's always color coded. Okay, now let's go back here. So based on this, what is our overall model comparisons here? We can see that the overall model comparison is significant. What is the overall model comparison here? The ANOVA one. This is significant, you can see. Our F value is 198.8327. And p-value is very small. Less than 0.001. Now using both variables to model, last year productivity improvement reduces error. Over the compact model by 96%. You can see that the R square is very high, okay? So 96%. So we can see that what is our compact model here? Maybe I can just put it, not the color code. This one, just put Azizal black. Copy. Okay, so you can see the color coding here. So we can see this reduced the error by 96%, and also there is a significant difference in the last year productivity improvement due to the levels when controlling for the prior year. So we can see also there is a significant difference in the last year productivity improvement when we control the effects of the prior year productivity improvement. So we can say there is a significant difference in last year's due to the levels of R and D when controlling for the prior years because the main effect of R and D level is significant. And you can see our F value here for the main effect of for the R and D. F value is this and the P value is this. So we can say F equal to 36.6229 and P value, P is less than 0.0001. Okay. So what is the advantage here? I wrote in details that, okay, when we fit the ANCOVA model, we can see that error sound square is small, R square is very high. So we know R square is high, and also we can see that our target is to know whether there is a difference in the last year productivity improvement due to the R&D levels, and we can see yes, there is a difference when we control the effects of the covariate. What is the covariate? The prior year's productivity improvement. Now the next questions, please stop me if you have any questions. Now the next questions I ask you, okay, is the homogeneity of the regression assumption satisfied? How can we check this on? So if it is satisfied, that means we need to check whether the R&D levels and our covariate, which is the prior year productivity improvement, has a relationship or not. If there is a relationship, that means we can see that there is differences. So here we have to check whether there is a relationship between our covariate and our categorical predictors. If they are correlated, this is the assumptions in our ANCOVA models. If you remember, if you go back to the ANCOVA, this is what I said in the ANCOVA. So if you go back to the chapter 10, this is one of the assumptions we always assume. In addition to our usual model assumption, ANCOVA requires that we have no interaction between our covariate and the categorical variables, and this is called the homogeneity of the regression coefficients or homogeneity assumptions. So if you see if you go back to the lecture notes, this is one of the assumptions. But how can we check these assumptions? So we need to check whether the covariate and the categorical predictor, they are significant or not. If there is no significant relationship, that means they are okay. Homogeneity assumption is okay. Now we need to check this one. So how can we check this one? So we need to fit the models based on these two variables. So go to this jump, fit models based on the prior year productivity improvement and the R&D levels. and run these models. Now go back and check. What can we see here?
Significant.
Significant. So that means, and also we can check whether if we fit, this is what we can check in one way. The other way, if we fit the interaction effects in the whole ANCOVA. Okay? So if we fit the models with the prior year's productivity improvement, based on R&D levels, and then put the interactions. And run this on, you can see now. You can visualize here when you fit this on, because you fit the interactions. Do you see that are the slope parallel to each other? No, they are not parallel. That means if we change the levels of the R&D, we can see that there is a changing. So this implies that the homogeneity assumptions of the ANCOVA is not met. Okay. For different levels of R&D, if we look at this, the relationship between the prior year productivity improvement and the last year productivity improvement based on the different levels of the R&D, we can see if the R&D levels is changing, the relationship is changing. That means R&D levels has an effect on this. And also you can check here, if you look at the interaction effects, which is significant. Yes, sir.
So that completely throws out the entire ANCOVA. You can't use ANCOVA if that's...
No. There might be, that's what I said, that there might be some relationship. But we can still use ANCOVA. If it is violates, we can still use ANCOVA, but we need to check whether there is a violation of these assumptions.
Okay.
Okay? So it doesn't mean that you cannot use the ANCOVA. You can use the ANCOVA, but you can just report that if the homogeneity assumption is not met. And this is what I said here. If you go back, we can have some relationship here. We said that, where I mentioned this one. So the case of the partially redundant continuous predictors. That means in this case there might be their redundancy. Okay? Redundancy means the covariates and the categorical predictors, we have some relationship. So, but we cannot ignore it completely. There might be some redundancy. So we expect that there is no redundancy, but if there is any redundancy, we call it the partially redundant variables. But we are still using this. And this is what the two situations I showed you when I was talking about. One is the quasi-experimental study, another one is the mediation models here. X and Y are somehow related. Here, X is related to Y directly or via the variable set. And these are the two situations we have seen. We expect that, this is our assumptions, we expect that there should not be any redundancy. But there might be some redundancy. In real situation, there might be some redundancy between the covariates and the categorical predictors. So here we just checked it, and we can see if you report this output here, just based on this one, we don't need this. get this. Okay. So we can say that the homogeneity of regression assumption is not met because there is a significant interaction between R and D level and prior year improvement. Now keep in mind, if I ask you check the homogeneity assumptions, you have to check the interaction effects. Now, homogeneity assumption means we are checking whether there is an interaction between the covariates and the predictors. Okay? Now, visualization part you can see here. If you see that the graphs is not parallel based on the different levels, that shows us an indication that they are not homogeneous. That means the slopes are. So in other words, if somebody asks you, what is the homogeneity? Means we should say that, okay, we expect that the slopes are parallel for the different levels of the categorical predictors. If the slopes are not parallel, we expect that there is an interaction between predictors and the covariate. And this is what we can see here. The slopes are not parallel and we can see that there is an interaction. So the homogeneity assumption is not met. Now, yes, let me check first. The question is that how did we figure it out about the redundancy only because the graph? No. We also look at the here, the interaction effect. If you look at these interaction effects, you can see that what is the interaction effects here? R&D level and the prior year's productivity improvement. What is R&D level in our model? This is our predictors. And prior year productivity improvement is our covariate. So we looked at whether there is a significant interaction effects or not. If there is a significant interaction, this is what we call it, there is a redundancy. Redundancy means one is giving the same information for the other. There are some information that is mixing up. We call it the collinearity, in other words, or multi-collinearity. You got it? Now, next part is what sort of ANCOVA model is this? Whether it is a mediation models, so this one, because we have two, partially redundant situation is two. If you remember, these are the two situations why we are specifically including a covariate that is partially redundant with our categorical variable. Now we know that this is partially redundant. Now there are two situations. So which one do you think this one? Whether it is a quasi-experimental study or it is a mediation models. What is the difference between these two? One, in the second one, we randomly assign the treatments. Okay? The randomization was done. So this is an experimental study. First one, there was no random assignment done. So this is just a quasi-experimental study. Since there was no random assignment done, okay? Random assignment means we randomly assign the treatments to the observational study. To the experimental unit. Since we didn't do any random assignment, so this is just simply an quasi-experimental study. In this case. So what sort of ANCOVA model? This is ANCOVA for quasi-experimental study. Now, you will see another situations. I try to give you all these different situations here for the different mode. So now, in another questions, in an experiment to investigate the effects of the color of paper, okay, on response rate for the questionnaires distributed by windshield method in supermarket parking lots, 15 representative parking lots were chosen in a metropolitan area and each color was assigned at random to 5 of these lots. Look at the questions. The color was randomly assigned to the 5 of the lots. So what is our lots here? Experimental units. We randomly assign the colors, which is the treatments. So this is a random assignment done. Now additionally, the size of the lots was measured because it was thought that larger lots might garner a different response rate than smaller lots. And the result of the experiment are provided in this data set, which is CH22PR9 questionnaire.color.jmp. Okay, so this data set is uploaded in ELC under the class questions for 10, chapter 10. So if you go to this, so this is our data set. I open this data here. Everyone got the data from the ELC. Please let me know if you don't get. Okay, now here you can see that we'd like to know the response rate. What is our response rate here? If you go back here, for the questionnaire distributed by windshield method in the parking lots. Okay, so response rate is our response variables and our categorical variables, which is called the predictors, is the color of the papers. Now we know that this depends also on the size of the lots. So we measure the size of the lots. So the parking lots, their size of the lots and the color of the papers. Now, the first questions I ask you, is there an association between lot size and the color of the flyers? What is this testing? Can anyone tell me? What should we do?
Fit the model with lot spaces as Y and color as...
So the lot size is our, what type of variable it is? Continuous variable. Okay? Now, this is covariate in our case. Okay? And the color of the flyer, what is this? This is our predictor. We'd like to see whether there is an association between lot size and the color of the flyer, and what is this one testing. So let's do this one in jump. Go and fit the models. So spaces within the lot and the color, and run this one. Now what can we see? F ratio is this, P value is this, and the parameter estimates here we can see. So what can we see from this? Do we have any association between the lot size and the color of the flyer? No. So what does it mean?
There won't be a redundancy.
Or there won't be a redundancy. Okay? So we can see that this assumption is satisfied now. So let me check what you asked me. Not significant. Thank you, Charles. Now based on this, we can see that here they are not significant. So if they are not significant, that means there is no redundancy between the color and the parking lots size. delete everything here. We just need this part. I don't need anything from here. So there is no association between lot size and flyer color, indicating no significant difference. Average lot size for different colors. Now, since there was a randomization, so we can see the randomization of flyers to different lots appear to have eliminated any systematic bias. Okay. Now in part 8 I ask you, is there an association between lot size and the response rate? Why do you need this one? Because this is what a part of the ANCOVA we always check whether the covariate has an effect on the response variables. So this is the covariate and the response variable. So let's check this one.
Would you still call that an ANOVA if it's just the covariate and the Y value that we're fitting the model with?
No. If it is covariate and the Y value, this is not ANCOVA.
No, but is it ANOVA?
No,
No, okay.
because the covariate is not categorical variable. This is a continuous one. The ANOVA is only if our predictor is categorical.
Okay.
So it cannot be ANOVA. So we run this one, and what we can see, there is a significant relationship between the covariate and the response variables. So maybe we can put all this output here. And this is the part that we don't need it. We don't need this. Don't need this one. So we can see there is a significant association between the size of the parking lot and the response rate. You don't need to type because I will upload the solutions. You just need to understand questionnaire. Now we'd like to know whether there is any association between flyer color and the response rate. I think you can do it. So which is very simple. Go back. We are doing actually ANOVA here to check whether there is a relationship between the response rate and the flyer car. So this is what we call it ANOVA, because we want to see if the flyer car is changing, whether there is any average change in the response rate. And we can see that this is not significant. Okay. Now, one thing you have to notice here. Now we can see that if we just include the flyer car, there is no significant difference in the response rate. What about if we include the covariate? Okay. Do you see the significant difference or not? So first of all, now we can see, maybe you can copy, I'll copy and paste the output because it's taking time. I can just say that there is no significant difference. So I'll write it down, but now let's do the next one because the time is short. So is there an association between flyer color and the response rate when we control this on, when controlling for the lot size? So when controlling for the lot size, I didn't say that use the ANCOVA. Look at the questions. I said when controlling for the lot size, that means you are including lot size in your models. That means you are doing ANCOVA. Okay, so let's do the ANCOVA. Response rate, color, when you control the spaces, that means parking lot size. Their slopes are parallel, okay? Color is now significant. Can you see? The color is now significant. So what's the difference you can see? That means the size of the parking lot has a effect on the response variables, and we already checked this out. And due to this, when we adjust this effect, we can see now color make a significant difference in the response rate. So this is the part of the ANCOVA. We know in the ANCOVA, when we adjust the effects of the models, we can see that now the variable is significant. And you can look at your R square is very high. Okay. Now, I ask you, state the models here. You can easily write your models, A and the model C. What is model A? What should be your model A? Can anyone tell me? Don't think that this is a simple model. So you are here, because you are doing the ANCOVA. So your model should be, compact model should be just including the covariate. Augmented model, that means you want to know the effects of the categorical predictors on the response over and above your covariate. Or we can say controlling the effects of the covariate. So your simple model will be just I gave you earlier, and the compact model will be this. Now let's do this too. I am not writing anything because I'll upload the solutions. Don't worry about the solutions. So let's do the last questions. Consider the eye contact effect study. In this study we have the ages for the personnel officers, their success rating based on gender, and whether they made an eye contact or not, and the full set results are presented in this. So let's go and open this data set. So maybe this is our data. So we have success rating, we have the eye contact, present and absent, the gender and age of the officers. Okay, so age of the officers is a covariate. Now our response variables, we know this. Now what is the questions? I ask you, test the main effects and the interaction effect due to the eye contact and the gender. How can we do this one? Can anyone tell me? So, go back here. fit the models, success rating based on these two predictors. In our case, the two predictors. Now we are considering ANCOVA with two predictors. This is one, another one in the gender. Okay? Now we would also like to know the interactions. So, interactions. Okay, because I ask you, main effects and the interaction effects due to the eye contact and gender. Okay? Now if you do this part, what can you see? We run this one. So if you look at the effect test here, you can see that eye contact is significant, gender is significant. What about the interactions? Because we have two categorical predictors, now we have to check the interaction. Interaction effects is not significant. I am just taking 1 more minute to finish this one, because in the next class I just want to start with the new chapter. Now the next one, repeat the test in 12, controlling for the age of the officer. Which one we have to do now? We said that controlling for the age of the officer. That means we have to do ANCOVA, because we would like to adjust the effects of this. Now you are doing the same thing, but now you are adjusting the effects of the covariates. So response rate, since we have two variables here, so we also look for the interactions and then we include the age of the officer. That means we are doing the ANCOVA here. So we can see that if we do the ANCOVA, we can see R square is very high. This is significant, error term is low compared to this previous one. R square was 57, error term was 97.2. Now we can see, after adjusting the effects of the covariate, R square is 91, error term is very low. Okay? Now still, there is no significant interaction effects between the two predictors, eye color and this. So hopefully I try to cover every situations in the ANCOVA chapter that we just finished, and please do these practice problems by yourself one more time, and hopefully I am planning to make our last exam, instead of the final exam, it will be the take-home. Is that okay with you guys? So it will be take-home exam, but not on the final. If it is not final exam, that means it will not be on the date that is specified by the UG. I can take it earlier, if you don't have any issues.
Sounds good.
Please let me know if you have any issue that, okay, you don't want to write, or you prefer the final exam, then it will be final exam. But if you all say that, okay, it's a take-home, so it will be just take-home exams. Like as your test 2 and test 1, you will get 24 hours to complete your exams. But you will not get any extension for the project. I am just reminding you. There will be no extension for the projects. So if you cannot finish it, it's up to your responsibility. I cannot extend the project due date. So please make sure you are doing the project on time. So if it is take home, it will not be on the final date. I will let you know the dates as soon as possible, and it will be take home. So please feel free to reach out to me if you have any concern about this course. I appreciate that if you let me know, I can review this, I can change my style. I want that everyone should be successful in this course and learn something from this course. If you have any questions, you can ask me, otherwise I will just end the meeting. Sorry for taking 4 more minutes. Okay. So have a good weekend for everyone. Hope to see you on Monday.